We have both Nathan the Bear, and Andrew the Bull. What's up, guys?
Grr.
Happy 4th of July, first of all. Nathan,
Rock, flag, and eagle, baby.
I was hoping that you would have a beer like in this podcast and just show it, but
Bro, I don't drink. Come on now. What are you talking about? Nah, I got some work to get done first. Do some celebrating later this weekend.
okay. Andrew.
Yes, sir.
What's happening? Like, I see stocks going all-time high. Trump just passed the beautiful bill, the absolute beautiful bill. I would think that everything would be pumping, but actually we saw a major pullback now.
Yeah. I mean, you got to give it to the market. They had a really nice rally, pretty much the last week. And then yesterday, initially in the pre-market, it was looking kind of weak just because we got the non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate that came out. And the market kind of got a little bit spooked. But then pretty much during the U.S. session, the market pretty much rallied extremely hard, making new highs again. And then just near the end of the session, things just kind of start slowing down. And Asia has been a little bit bearish today, it seems. Possible de-risking ahead of this long weekend here. So we came right up against resistance, 88.6, right against previous highs as well. Could not continue, and looks like we just kind of pulled back into a reload zone. And if we go into the lower time frame, you can see that we are potentially trying to put in a double top here. We are sitting in against a moving average support, and we still have all of this to act as support as well. So if we do have to come back down, 38.2s are kind of like where I'm eyeing. Probably have to retest that 200 SMA, just like we did back here. And then we'll see whether we want to keep going higher or do we just start range trading.
So you would be buying at 106 or waiting for the pullback to go to 106 to buy?
Yeah, ideally if some kind of structure comes in, right, that'd be kind of like what I would ideally want to trade. We might just get like a knee-jerk reaction, perhaps even just like kind of how we did back here. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, only time will tell. I just know that we are just kind of bouncing between levels at the moment. And it is a long weekend, so volume might just kind of taper off a bit here. But overall, still pretty bullish. Like, market is trending higher right now. We are in an uptrend technically right now. So yeah, we'll see. Jam barometer stuff kind of points towards a bullish summer. So there's also that. So watching for setups. ETH already has a little double top broken down, but again, it's got a lot of these like moving averages. So we did fall below the 13 EMA, but we are coming up into a 200 SMA, and then we got these two lower ones as well to act as support. And then 38.2s are pretty much just right against that low of this candle there. So those are kind of areas that I would be kind of looking for hunting for longs if I was on the long side, if we do pull back pretty aggressively here. But as of right now, there's not too much. Maybe we just kind of retest these moving averages and then slowly try to climb back up. Otherwise, if we do have to break down lower, then probably would hunt that 38.2 area. But right now, there's no setups personally in either direction for me still. So just really monitoring these higher levels at the moment. But it looks okay. I mean, ETH's got a daily W now too. So, a lot of the altcoins are kind of trying to bottom out. But, they have a way more wilder swings during these bigger moves on Bitcoin and ETH. So we do have W's working on a few of the indexes, but ideally, we want to see that start curving back up, and then this kind of starting to curve back down. So, little mixed bag. Definitely seeing a lot of de-risking right now. So,
A little more sideways to go.
yeah, I mean, for the most part, like a lot of altcoins are just right against bottom of the ranges now, and they're forming structure. You got a nice little W coming in here and stuff. So these are kind of like what you want to look for, right? A nice like breakout, pull back into that bottom of the range, and then the structure reforming. So I think there's some stuff that you can probably try to hit. I did a few shopping stuff past few days, so just sitting allocated now.
Yeah, I think at the same time, some of these bigger caps, they are starting to look like they're bottoming out. So your thesis about having a bull summer, that might actually come in. Yeah, but then again, I don't know like how this beautiful bill will affect all the prices, but there's definitely good opportunities.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Nathan,
shall we move over?
Nathan, you want to move on to news?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Speaking of the big beautiful bill, that's first up for us here. Oh, do we got two screens sharing here? Or?
Oh yeah, here. This should be fun.
There we go. Yeah, we've got the big beautiful bill finally came through. A lot of controversy there on the good and the bad. Kind of highlighting one of the bigger issues that we have in the States right now are these big bills, whether they're beautiful or not. The fact that they've got 10,000 line items in them. It's not a bill about one thing. It's a bill about everything from a spending bill, a tax bill. It is covering a number of different issues. Personally, I think those need to be separated out into, different bills so we can actually understand what's in them. There's a lot of people, Thomas Massey, for example, who voted against this because of some of those provisions that are in there. Whereas if, you break these up, you can still get the same thing accomplished, get kind of the bad with the good, or otherwise when they do these kind of things, it's either, all or nothing, black or white, throw the baby out with the bathwater, or accept, the bad with the good. But how this is going to impact in the long run, obviously we know it's going to increase the national debt further. They're projecting it's going to increase the national debt by $7 to $10 trillion in the relatively near term. Ray Dalio had a big article he put out recently, kind of on the impact of how it's going to affect not only the national debt, but what potential for the capital markets it has. One thing that's kind of evident here is they're going to need to cut rates to, and not just a little bit. They're going to make this even somewhat work. They're going to need to cut rates down to, close to zero as they can get. They're going to have to start printing money like mad. Well, for the average consumer, it's the continuation of the fiat game, kicking the can down the road. There is going to be long-term side effects in the short term, probably going to see, continued economic boosts. But for people in crypto, people in risk on assets, it's probably going to be very beneficial in the immediate term and probably for the next few years here. How it's going to affect Bitcoin, time will tell. But I imagine we're going to see this pump Bitcoin in the near future. But in the long run, it's anybody's guess. The continued collapse of the fiat system, it's not going to be pretty. So find things that are safe to hold on to. Find hedges against inflation. Obviously, on this channel, we're big fans of Bitcoin, big fans of crypto. How it's going to affect alts is anybody's idea. Anybody's guess is going to be good there, but I think Bitcoin is going to benefit overall from this. So, not sure quite what to say here. I'm not super stoked on this bill, but I think for those of us that are in the markets now, probably at least in the short term, going to see some positive upside from it. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on this overall.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't looked too deep into it myself, but I know they're going to be spending a fuck ton of money. So that does drive a bit of business here and there. But I do see like inflation isn't good. It's already pretty bad. And it seems like this is just going to cause more problems down the road, probably. Like a little short-term kind of band-aid solution right now. But if it pumps my bags, so be it. And I think Bitcoin's probably the safest versus trying to trade altcoins and stuff. Bitcoin is definitely the inflation proxy. So.
Yeah, here's that post from Ray Dalio talking about, that this bill has passed, what's going to be the results in brief, expected to lead to about $7 trillion a year. in spending, additional spending, with inflows of only 5 trillion. So with the debt, which he says now 6x the money taken in, 100% of GDP, and $230,000 per American family is going to be bumped up to 7.5x times the money we bring in, 130% of GDP, and $425,000 per U.S. family. Debt payments from 10 trillion, a trillion in interest, 9 trillion in principal, to about 18 trillion, 2 trillion of which will simply be interest payments, which will lead to either a big squeeze and cutting off of our spending and unimaginable tax increases, or a lot of printing and devaluing of the money, pushing interest rates to unattractively low levels. This printing and devaluing is not good for those holding bonds as a storehold of wealth. What's bad for U.S. bonds and U.S. credit markets is bad for everyone, because the U.S. Treasury market is the backbone of all capital markets. So if you're not an American, this is going to affect all economies around the world. So unless a path is soon rectified to bring the budget deficit from roughly 7% of GDP to about 3% by making adjustments to spending, taxes, and interest rates, a big, painful disruption will likely occur. So, I mean, not a lot of people that are honest about this, not necessarily the politicians, saying, this bill, for what good it does in terms of, cutting taxes, does the opposite in terms of spending. So long term, more problems for fiat, more problems for the US dollar, more problems for bond holders, all problems we've talked about on this channel multiple times. Probably good for Bitcoin holders, but for everybody else, good luck.
Yeah, but I think also like the stocks are trading the highest compared to any other year. Like stocks to their revenue ratio, it's absolutely absurd.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna be printing even more money, which means that the stocks are gonna go high. All the valuation are gonna be like overvalued. Like, how can you buy something that is trading on 50x of your revenue?
Yeah. Insane PDE ratio. Even like Wingstop was at like 65 PDE ratio. They sell chicken wings. Like,
bro, imagine trying to sell that company. Like, who's gonna buy this? Who's gonna buy this?
Insane valuations.
Very mixed feelings. Obviously, like Bitcoin will be a very good hedge against this. I think everyone's saying that Bitcoin will go to 200, 500K. I mean, we haven't even started printing, and the stocks just went all-time high. Like, it's gonna be absolute nuts. A bread will cost 10 euros or something. I'm actually now in Europe. I just went to the store. I bought basic things, and I spent $50. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the new norm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting next couple of years. That's not even to consider, AI disruption and everything else that's going on. So good luck, everybody out there. That's all I can say.
So doom.
some interesting, cool. I don't know what even to call this story here. A lot of different takes I've seen online, but really popular story on crypto Twitter right now. A 14-year-long Bitcoin trade executed within the last couple of days here. 14 years ago, someone bought Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin. I think it cost about $7,800 to pick those Bitcoin up, and just sold it for $1.1 billion. A lot of people, like Beanie here, saying, "Oh wow, imagine the balls it takes," or look at these diamond hands. I've made some videos on this in the past. Like, this isn't balls, this isn't diamond hands. There's three scenarios in which this happens. Either one, this person was already extremely wealthy, and so another $1 billion for them, or as it's building up, $100 million, it's not worth it for them. They're just holding it long term. This isn't going to make or break them in the long run. So is it really that great of a hold? Yeah, I guess it's smart, it's cool, but it's not like it's someone who working at McDonald's spent their last $7,800 is now a billionaire. Option number two, this person completely forgot they owned it, or they lost their passcode and they found it again and they liquidated it as fast as they could, right? Or three, they're incredibly stupid. Those are the only three options. This isn't some diamond-handed Chad working at McDonald's, like slaving away for the last 14 years to finally sell and become a billionaire, right? That's asinine, right? If you put in $7,800 and you're making whatever 50 grand a year, and you didn't sell at $1 million, at 10 million, at 100 million, you're an idiot. you're not a diamond hands. You're an idiot. Selling at $1 billion. If that's the very, very, very extremely unlikely scenario, I guess congrats. But it's completely financially irresponsible if you're making, barely making a living and you put $700-800 in and waited till it went to $1 billion. Like, that's gambling on top of gambling on top of gambling on top of gambling. Like that's hitting the roulette table and just instead of walking away with the winning, just going in again and again and again and again and again and just continuing to get lucky. So I don't know. I think all the takes of like, look at the balls, the diamond hands on this guy. I think it's asinine. People who are broke with, $700-800 to put into Bitcoin don't hold to $1 billion. So either this person lost their keys, forgot about it, or whatever, or they were already ridiculously wealthy to begin with, and it wasn't that much money to them. That's kind of how I look at scenarios like this. We've seen stories like this in the past, but I think they kind of get blown out of proportion.
Yeah, my question here is like, did this guy actually buy this BTC or did he just receive them?
Who knows? It's a good question.
Is it the pizza Bitcoin? Is it 10,000 pizza Bitcoin?
Could have been. No, I think they've researched that pretty well. Like the guys on both ends of that transaction, he got rid of them. He didn't really, sell them. He's not a super Bitcoin maxi OG guy with billions and billions of dollars anymore. But I mean, cool to see nonetheless. Like, this illustrates the power of what can happen in crypto, the power of what can happen.
Compounding, bro. That's what happens.
Yeah.
14 years. I mean, that's a pretty good hold, 14 years for $1 billion. I mean, I think I could wait 14 years.
Yeah, I agree. But if myself, the money I make, if it hits 10 million, of course I'm selling that. If it hits 100 million, absolutely. You don't wait till $1 billion. Like that's just
a hard hodl. That's a very hard hodl.
Yeah, it's financially irresponsible is what it is. Your family is like you're barely getting by, barely putting your kids through school. Meanwhile, you're sitting on a $500 million fucking bag and you're not selling it. Like, come on.
Well, now it's $1 billion. So
now it's $1 billion. Yeah. So now he's like, oh, I was right. But anyway, yeah. But anyways, but that's one of the other things that's very interesting about this, and I think is a trend that's starting to emerge and will continue to emerge in the future. People that we talk about like buying Bitcoin and you never sell your Bitcoin. Well, you're seeing why. If you had again, I don't know why this guy sold. I don't know that they've confirmed that he sold. This was from what I've seen, this is the transaction. Yeah, he moved it, right? So they're assuming he sold it. But with Bitcoin's an established enough asset now. You don't have to sell your Bitcoin. If you get $1 million in Bitcoin sitting on the books, like you can loan against that. That's the same thing the ultra wealthy do now with real estate and other assets. They don't sell their assets, right? They hold those assets, and they do. They leverage debt against that because that's non-taxable, right? And they can do there's a lot of different schemes with real estate. It's a 1030 or 1031 in the US where you can, debt roll over debt into the next thing and the next thing. And you don't actually have to sell, your hard assets, which is what debt financing is, how the ultra wealthy operate. Right. So, if you have $1 billion in Bitcoin out there, you don't have to cash it in to capitalize on that. Just keep that in mind.
But yeah, what I'm reading on the comments, this guy had more than 10,000. So
I'd imagine. Yeah.
Damn. How much does he have? Fuck. I'm curious now.
Yeah, here this first one, sleuthing his old wallets, he likely holds over 100,000 Bitcoin in total. So, $10 billion.
Oh, the guy made it. Made in shade, man. Holy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, cool story. Interesting takes on it out there, but fun to see. It's inspiring that our bags that are worth nothing now, if we hold on them for 10 years, maybe we'll have the same opportunity.
Just buy Bitcoin. I'm losing faith in alts now.
Yeah, 100%. Already kind of talked about this in ad nauseum, but Kalshi taking bets. How high will the national debt increase this year? Now expected to hit $40 trillion this year. That's insane. In 2020, we were at 23.2 trillion. So in just under 5 years, looking at almost doubling the national debt. Obviously not sustainable. We don't need to, hash on this for the 100,000th time, but just more evidence of why Bitcoin is so popular right now.
Yeah.
And will continue to be. Like this isn't going away. This isn't like all of a sudden the US government's going to wake up and be fiscally responsible. I mean, they just passed the big, beautiful bill, which is the opposite of fiscal responsibility. So I don't see this train slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah. So what I understood from all this strategy, what's happening with the beautiful bill and with Powell getting fired and so forth, Trump is going to be refinancing the basically debt, and all of this will eventually like be eaten by very, very cheap interest rates, right?
That's their goal. But alongside that, they're gonna have to print insane amounts of money to
Yeah.
make that.
So at what point will US dollar will start to crumble? Like we've seen it before. We've been talking about it for a while on this show, but like, look always what happens when you start printing and printing more money. And especially
Yeah.
like this is 23 trillion. Like, sorry, 40 trillion. That's
Yeah.
what $40,000 billion.
Yeah, I mean, it's played out throughout history. Every single time you have a fiat currency, it's not an if, it's a when. And that's why Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he may be, invented Bitcoin. This is a problem that's been seen many times throughout history. It's a problem that started in the U.S. and most of the modern world with modern fiat currencies in 1913. And it's going to continue to get worse until it eventually blows up spectacularly, and Lord knows what's going to happen after that. So we'll see. I'll be hopefully living in the mountains away from society by then. So
That'd be nice.
Some more, something, another positive, I guess, for Bitcoin here. Bo Hines, executive director. Bo Hines is the crypto industry, Trump's executive director. Will probably go to 15 to 20 trillion with the new stablecoin legislation. Obviously that's amazing for our industry. It's going to be a very different dynamic though, because these stable coins it's not like money's coming into Bitcoin. It's not like money's coming into altcoins. While it will, so it's not going to directly impact our bags, right? JP Morgan opening up a stable coin might bring a couple $1 trillion on chain, which obviously is great for the industry as a whole, but it's not going to directly, you're not going to see, you're not going to buy JP Morgan stablecoin and watch it 10x. It's a stablecoin. Like, that's not how they work, right? It's not the purpose of them. So in terms of direct impact to our bags, is it going to have an immediate direct effect? No, but will it have long lasting effects for our industry in a positive manner? Of course. Just from the simple fact that it's going to legitimize cryptocurrency. It's going to legitimize blockchain technology on a massive scale. When it can't be understated how big of an impact that's going to have. I think this is what was going to lead to real actual mass adoption on the retail side. It's going to force not only devs on the Web3 side of things, but Web2 devs to start building products that actual people are using. We're going to have Amazon, Facebook, Walmart, all of these, anybody that has any sort of like payment or treasury management infrastructure is going to move that all into blockchain. They're saying something like 85% more efficient. That's huge amounts of savings for these companies. Any company that doesn't adopt a Bitcoin, or excuse me, a stablecoin strategy of some sort, moving their payment systems onto blockchain, is going to be missing out on millions or billions of dollars in lost potential savings or revenue in that case. So all of these new tools and adoption that's going to happen on the retail side is going to eventually trickle into the rest of the industry. So immediate direct impact on pumping our bags, no, but long-term impact on the overall industry, which will pump our bags. Yes, absolutely. This is, it can't be understated how massive this is on both an institutional and a retail front.
Yeah, I mean, like this. I have so many opinions about this. Like when banks are doing their own stable coins, and we cannot really know like what's really happening in the back end and how they are managing all these stable coins and so forth. Obviously, it's not going to go to shit coins. This will affect the BTC price, though. That's kind of that's where I'm like very bullish. Also like RWA plays. Maybe the gold. We should be looking at the gold stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very skeptical when banks start to do their own stable coins.
Yes, more central banks power. Yay!
No, for sure.
I mean, eventually the goal will be like you can only use these stable coins, and then we know what will happen. They can basically, from their back end, freeze things. They can do whatever they want, and now we're not decentralized anymore.
Yeah. No, but what that does do though for us, and we've talked about this especially recently here a couple times. So now you have the majority of the modern world and a lot of non-modern world, a lot of people are kind of skipping that middle ground of going from unbanked to banked to Web3, and they're skipping straight from unbanked to Web3, right, to blockchain rails. But what that means is then, we as we get this mass onboarding of retail, not just for, trading shit coins, but, for actual daily use, there's no going back from that. So when the banks inevitably pull their bullshit that they always do, there's no love for banks with anybody in the world, then they can, that's just going to help continue to illustrate the brokenness of the system. But we have the alternative here. Whereas in the fiat world, there is no alternative to the banking system. It's either you use the banks or you're unbanked and you're fucked, right? So, but in Web3, we have DeFi, right? So this I see as kind of a long route to get people into DeFi. They're not going to go back to fiat once we started using blockchain and the Web3 rails. So while yes, the banks are going to screw things up, I see it long term as bullish for DeFi. Which means we got to get our asses in gear on the DeFi side of things and start building some products that actually have usable UX UI. But not excited about big governments and centralized banks, coming in and marginalizing this industry. But I think in the long term, it opens the door for DeFi to truly thrive and become the dominant, factor in this industry. Whereas if we don't have these centralized rails bringing people on, we don't get there with DeFi.
No, I agree. But at least, like, if you look at the DeFi stablecoin market, it's been going up. Always at the all-time high, I think. But you're absolutely right. We need more builders. Just a fact.
So I'm trying to look at the silver lining, trying to be positive about this. I hate bankers and CeFi and the globalist banking system and regulatory departments of every government more than anybody, but I don't see us getting to where we need to go. I think we can, use their own power against them, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But in the meantime, every single day, we do this twice a week, and every single time we get on here, we've got another half dozen or dozen new stories about somebody, some major institution adopting Bitcoin. Today's no different. Chinese textile company and Dentax buying $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, 12,000 Bitcoin in total. Again, more corporate buying, more institutions just jumping on the Bitcoin train.
And ETFs are also pumping. $600 million came yesterday. It's been crazy month so far. There's been only one day when there was a huge sell-off, and it was on the 1st of July, and that was like 350 million. But again, after that, there's like 1 billion that came in. So
yeah. More than making up for it. Well, check even the gold bugs coming around. Public gold miner announces they're going to be buying Bitcoin for their treasury. So maybe it won't be too long before Peter Schiff finally admits he's been buying Bitcoin in the background.
But yeah, like we say on this channel, please buy Bitcoin. Like, not the financial advice, but
do it for yourself.
Yeah, just saying.
Well, and here's why. This is one of many reasons why BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF has driven more revenue than its S&P 500 fund. Not only is it a strategy for retail is benefiting from it, these institutions are benefiting from it, but in terms of people that are making revenue off of these ETFs, making far more money than their S&P 500, the TradFi fund. So more, we talked earlier this week about the new ETFs outside of Bitcoin, ADA, XRP, Solana, all these other companies on board. I'd expect to see the same kind of results there, like the Web3 ETFs outperforming the trad market ETFs in terms of the funding that the ETF providers are coming in. So however you're making money, whether you're doing the leveraged MicroStrategy approach, whether you're buying spot, whether you're running ETFs and taking revenue off that, like, everybody's winning right now. Everybody's eating, except for this guy. Well, he's definitely eating, but just not in the Bitcoin game. He's eating at the buffet game. IMF, I can't remember this guy's name, but been a notorious character in the saga in Europe with what's going on in terms of the anti-Bitcoin and crypto adoption there. But IMF rejects Pakistan's protocol to mine Bitcoin with its surplus energy. I mean, no reason for them to deny this other than, they want to maintain control over financial institutions of the world. But more bearish stuff coming out of Europe, Jan. What's going on, bro?
I don't know. I was gonna ask, like, how can IMF say what you can do with different countries? But I think Pakistan took a major loan from both IMF and from China. By the way, people don't know that,
absolutely.
but they're very close with China. So
if you bring up one of the books we brought on Tuesday, the Creature from Jekyll Island, he talks a lot about this, central bank game and the IMF game. They go in and they provide these, infrastructure loans to all these countries, these low income or socioeconomically challenged companies, we'll call them to be politically correct. And now they've got them on the hook. Now they're their bitch. They have to, you want to do Bitcoin mining with your surplus energy? Well, guess what? You can't, or we're gonna fucking pull your loan. It's the same thing the U.S. federal government does with the states. They get them on Uncle Sam's tit, and then when the states aren't behaving the way the federal government wants them to, they're like, oh, well, guess what? That $4 billion a year we give you for your public education system. Well, you can kiss that goodbye if you're gonna, go against whatever it is, Bitcoin or drug laws, legalizing marijuana or whatever it happens to be the flavor of the week for the federal government. So same exact thing that the IMF does, give you a huge loan to build schools or roads or whatever the help to pay yourself off, for the government, for the politicians to get rich in your country. Well, there's a cost to that as well. You're now subject to whatever the IMF decides is the way to go for your country. So
I think it's the IMF and International Money Settlement, IMS. So there's IMF and IMS, right?
Oh yeah. There's multiple large organizations like this that the globalist organizations that try to control these governments through all sorts of different financial schemes.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
But I mean, just look at the guy. All you need to know is, doesn't pass the physiognomy check whatsoever. So, we talked a little bit about Robinhood opening up staking for Solana and somebody else earlier this week. We said, interesting to see the adoption coming on the mainstream, but don't trust Robinhood with any of your money. There's many other routes you can go, whether you want to invest in stocks or whether you want to invest in crypto. Just don't be lazy and use apps like this. Robinhood entrance into the crypto space is perfect. Lying and scamming right out the gate. Great post by Cook Capital. This is referring to Robinhood announcing they're offering OpenAI tokens, which that would supposedly have equity in OpenAI. OpenAI immediately comes out saying, no, absolutely not. We are not selling anything of the sort. This is absolute bullshit. So I'm sure there's lawsuits going on, cease and desist be flying around for Robinhood. But guys, not the most trustworthy of platforms. We talked on Tuesday about how they'll turn off trading when things are too volatile or people are trying to pull out their money. Done this with GameStop. They've done this with multiple crypto tokens that they've had on there. These are not the places that you need to be using, right? I know it's easy. You can do your email sign up and onboard with your bank account, and they make it easy right on your phone. Just don't be lazy, right? Like there's many other ways to do this where you're not going to get scammed. And you're going to be able to actually control your own investments. This is just another one of those kind of the get rich quick mindset that people have that they need to get out of, right? Like the apps like this are poison. I know it seems easy to onboard, but like don't use Robinhood. Don't spend your Bitcoin on Starbucks. Like just put in the work, and do it the right way.
Yeah, my speculation is that they have the shares and they got approval from OpenAI, but OpenAI doesn't know that they bought the shares with another entity. They could be hiding the entity here, but I'm surprised that the SEC are letting this happen.
For now, yeah, we'll see. Because if we're starting to be able to crowdfund equity for projects like this, it's gonna get interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's essentially an IPO without an IPO.
Yeah.
So interesting times, gentlemen. Interesting times. Speaking of very interesting times, we might be getting our first major crypto bank. Peter Thiel very famously started PayPal back in the day, part of the PayPal mafia. Very famous investor, one of the most well-known names out there. Huge crypto and Bitcoin evangelist, partnering with the Anduril founder, Palmer Luckey, who just like, I mean, look at that guy. He's obviously a Chad with that mullet and that goatee. How can you not like him? They're launching Erebor, a digital bank for crypto and tech startups. Notoriously, one of the most difficult things for Western, especially American crypto startups is dealing with banking. They've been more or less shut out, especially in the US and a lot of, in Europe as well. Now with Mika, being able to open up and handle payment settlement and facilitation of really most of your basic banking needs that a business needs to operate. This will be hopefully revolutionary for companies wanting to open up in the US as well as Europe. This gives them some serious options. Name's a little bit for non-fortuitous, a little bit foreboding. Erebor is as well as Anduril. Obviously, the guy's a big Lord of the Rings fan. Yeah. These are both names out of Lord of the Rings, but Erebor is the city that gets destroyed. It's the mountain that the dwarves have become the richest dudes in all of the land, just making all kinds of crazy stuff, mining the craziest jewels and diamonds and golds, giving them to the elves and men and etc. And it attracts the Smaug, the dragon, who comes and decimates it and kills everybody in there and burns it to the ground and sleeps on the pile of gold for 1,000 years. So interesting choice in the name, but I like it nonetheless.
Wow.
Fun stuff.
So, crypto institutional bank getting opened up, but at least these are two guys that you want to see opening that. I mean, if it was Jamie Dimon and fucking what's the BlackRock CEO? Help me out here. The CEO of BlackRock. Anyways, if it was him and Garlic Head opening up a crypto bank, I'd be a little concerned, a little more concerned. But I think these guys understand Web3 and they're in it for the right reasons. Peter Thiel's been very outspoken.
I'm kind of against it. You have two of the top leading military guys building a bank.
Fair.
Has first of all, Unreal has the best technology around like admin stuff in AI. And then you have Peter Thiel, which is like another CIA admin stuff. Yeah, no, this is going to be great. Let's control where the money supply is going. Yeah.
Fair point. But I mean, there could be worse people doing it. So it's going to happen. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But it does open up options for people starting companies in the US.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's about it. That's all I had for today on in the new Bitcoin news here, or broader crypto news. It's going to be long, slow weekend probably for the markets, and the overall with the holiday in the US, markets are going to be closed for an extended period of time, and people are going to be out drinking beer, eating barbecue, and blowing off their fingers. So not going to be behind the desk trading.
So it's going to be interesting. Like, be careful over the weekend. There's not a lot of liquidity out there. As Nathan said, it's 1st of July. People are going to be out. There's going to be a longer weekend than before. And usually when that happens, basically it's very hard to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, give us a share, leave us a comment. If you have something you want us to cover next week, if you've got a chart you want Andrew to dive into next week, always open to those kind of requests. If you're looking for OTC or looking to get your company acquired or looking to acquire a company, let us know. We have you can find all our information on our website. You can message us on our X page, or if you want to hit us up directly on Telegram, we are open. Our DMs are open all the way across the board.
Sounds good. And please subscribe, like, and share. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Ciao.